Today, we're talking about addiction. And if you're one that thinks you are addicted, whether it's addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex, work, people, or the internet, my message is a message of hope. Hi, I'm Dr. B, and I want you to fully enjoy life and experience the freedom that God desires for you and those around you. In our last video, I gave you a definition of addiction. I cited Webster's dictionary, which describes addiction as exhibiting a compulsive, chronic, physiological, or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity. A person addicted is strongly inclined to do, use, or indulge in something repeatedly. Most major health experts agree that addiction is not a moral shortcoming or even a character weakness, but addiction is a treatable medical illness. And as I said, I'm not a medical professional, but I've helped many people in counseling who suffer with addiction. So I'm going to approach the next few videos talking about addiction from a biblical counselor's perspective. Let me begin by saying addiction is something that can spread. A great metaphor for addiction would be like kudzu, like this grass. Addiction, once it takes root, can grow into all areas of our lives. Here's how many addictions begin. The person who is constantly on social media, they just want to feel connected to others. Or the codependent simply want others to care for them. Or the alcoholic, maybe thinking, I just want to feel like I belong and matter to others. And the same is true with the sex addict. They want romance and love and to feel enchanted and gratified. The person addicted to exercise want to feel more powerful and maybe dominant. And the person addicted to food wants to feel pleasure, but also control. The person addicted to opioids just want to feel more comfortable and pain-free. And the person addicted to, say, movies are wanting to ignore the moments of traumatic remembrances. The shopping addict wants to focus on things other than their daily lives. My point is, for many, they feel what they need to help them cope with in life is a good idea for them in the beginning. This is where the enemy can get to us. He wants us to believe the great lie that this addiction will make you better off than without it. For many, your addiction to alcohol, drugs, sex, and so on has persuaded you that you need this to endure life. Many addicted people honestly see their addiction as a companion needed to get through life, and you're better off with them in your life. Here's the truth. Like the enemy of God, addiction can steal, kill, and destroy your life. If you're watching and honestly are looking at your life to determine if you are addicted, please know that there are two areas that most go through. One area is denial. The addict who is in denial is actually ignoring signs, people, and negative changes so they can continue in their addiction. Another defense the addict can get caught up is in disassociation. Our minds have the ability to block things that should overwhelm us emotionally. I've shared before that we all have something in our brains called an RAS, reticular activating system. This is the ability to tune out things we do not want to listen to. An example would be like people who live near airports or train tracks. Over time, they have the ability to tune out those noises in their minds. This can happen to us concerning addiction. When people begin to show us areas we are addicted, we ignore it and we ignore them. And many ignore what is actually happening in their life. Another way we can use the RAS is not feel. If we ignore and not see certain signs of addiction, then we do not have the feelings that should accompany the experience. Then, if we do not allow feelings we then really do not need. If we need, We must depend on those around us to help us. Then, if we deny or ignore our wants, we don't talk about them. All this brings us to become people who do not trust. And that's what causes the seclusion and protecting our addiction. Now, when the addict does communicate with others, they seem to have these mantras. They recite, many even learned in childhood. Let me ask, do you have or have you ever said the following? Things like, no one will ever understand what I go through in life. If those around me find out, they'll leave me. If you had to deal with my job, you would drink every night also. Or I'm just having a good time. Or I'm taking these drugs to take the edge off. Here's a statement that is a lie. God will not give me more than I can handle. As Christians, we need to understand that God will guide us through and help us with anything we experience in life. Many stay blind to their consequences of addiction by denial, but we also use disassociation. When we disassociate, we actually detach ourselves from any type of emotional involvement. I've noticed in counseling, this can happen if, as a child, the client had no one to go to for emotional support or healing. Here's the big problem. Denial and disassociation will keep us from recovering from our addiction. They can also keep us from God's best for us. There's been times I've counseled people going through a divorce, and that's a very painful experience. And I've been through it myself years ago. But so many who go through divorce are now facing challenges like financial changes, being a single parent. To add to the problem of the divorce, many begin to realize they are in a great amount of distress emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. And there are some that turn to alcohol or a pill, either substance or process. And they, by drinking or taking a pill, can produce a deception for well-being, at least for a moment. What I've learned is this: the greater the pain and anguish, the stronger they are joined to the false relief, which would be alcohol or the pill, which created the relief, but it's only an illusion. I've been asked why some people get addicted and some do not. Well, normally, there's unique circumstances. It's been shown that a person who uses drugs or alcohol early in life can increase risk for addiction. Brain chemistry and experience in life can create a dependency. Research has shown biology can enhance addiction. 40 to 60% of those addicted can come from genetics. This is why we do a background research to see if any family members struggle with addiction. For some, if they were exposed to a traumatic experience, that can actually increase the person's risk for addiction. In addition, a person struggling with depression or anxiety have their risk go up for addiction. Now, if you're honestly looking at yourself and trying to determine if you are addicted, I want you to know there is hope. If we are in denial, it can be undone. If you are dealing with disassociation, it can also be defeated. We must, like I said, be honest and be willing to name and see the way you deny and disassociate. Be honest with others and even seek out Christian counseling to help you. If you want a suggestion of a good counselor, I can actually give it to you. To actually be free from the grasp of addiction, we must be vulnerable with ourselves, others, and look to God for answers. The Apostle Paul tells us in Ephesians 5:15 through 18, be careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If it was helpful to you, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can always know when we post new content. Have a wonderful day as you continue finding freedom in your life.